So let's get into the challenges for this week. There are two, like I said. One is more difficult than the other, and you are free to choose from either one. You are also, of course, free to try both of them. The first one I'm going to show you is the more difficult of the two. In this challenge, I am tasking you with creating a web spidering application. And a web spidering application is very, very widely used in a lot of different ways. One of the most common ways that a web spidering application is used is by a search engine like Google. So when I want my site to be listed in Google, if somebody types Bill Moseley into Google, if I want my site to be listed, I would go to Google and I would give them the address of my website, www.bmoseley.com. And Google puts that web address into a program that has just a huge list of websites. And when it gets to my website, it actually will send a spider out to my website, which is more like, it's as if somebody was sitting on a computer and they go to my website and they read through my website and they get all of the links from every page on my website and they get all of the text, and it tries to understand what my website is about. But it also does something interesting, which is it follows any links that it has. So if my homepage of my website has 5 links on it, then it puts those 5 links onto its list to go to next. And then it will go to those pages and it'll do the same thing. It'll look at the page, see what's on there, get all the links, put them in a list. And so what it does is it spiders its way through the internet, looking at web pages and classifying that information for search. So to understand how you are going to build a web spidering application, you have to understand how a web page works. And a web page lives on a computer out there that's always connected to the internet, always on, called a server. It's not anything fancy. It's literally a server. I could set my laptop up to be a server right now. It's not anything amazing or special or fancy. It's just a computer that's always on, that's connected to the internet. That computer has an address associated with it, like bmoseley.com. So when I type at my computer, www.bmoseley.com, my computer sends a request to that server using the address. It says, hey, send me a web page. The server says, okay, if I have that web page, then it sends back HTML code, which is what web pages are written in. It's not very complicated, okay? And then my computer, my web browser, takes that HTML code, looks at it, and displays it as a web page with links and that sort of thing. Okay, so that is how a basic web request works. And so what we're going to be doing in creating a web spidering application is, first, we're going to be creating in Python a fake web browser. So when your Python script sends a request to a web server, it is going to be mimicking the Chrome web browser, and the server will actually respond to it as if it's a Chrome web browser. If you don't do that, then the server says, somebody's trying to hack me. I'm not going to give you any web pages. So that's part of it, is you have to create a fake web browser in Python, and I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm actually give you the code for that part. And then the server will respond back with a web page. So the web page that I have set up looks something like this. It's not this exactly, but it's on my website. It's under bmoseley.com/test.html. I created a fake, tiny, very simple website for you to use for this program so that it simplifies your task a little bit, okay? So if I look at the web page in my web browser, it looks something like this. If I look at the code, the HTML code for that web page, it looks something like this. And you can see the links, you can see how they're formatted, you can very easily pick out the pieces of this web page and what they mean. It's not complicated. But what you will get back from the web page, because you're not using a real web browser, you won't see anything like this. What you'll get back is this code. So then your task is to take that code and find the links. and put the links into a list of links that you're going to follow next. And if the link says something like www.google.com, you will make note of it, that there's a link there, but you will not follow it. If the link is on this website, www.bmosley.com, then you will follow it and go to that page. If you follow it to Twitter or Google or any other site that's off that website, your program will then try to spider the whole internet just like as if it's Google. And you'll run out of memory and it'll just go and go and go. It'll be interesting. So you're welcome to try that, but that's the downside to that. So all I want you to do is record the links on the pages inside my website. So a lot of websites are kind of organized like this, where there's a main page and then there's links off of that page, and then some of the other pages have links. And the web addresses kind of look something like this. So what you want to generate is a list of the pages that you visit. Okay, so that is what that looks like. Let's take a look at the code. Challenge 1. No, that's this one. There we go. All right. So this is the code that I'm going to give you. And you can download this from Canvas. But and you don't really need to understand the details of this. But this code is mimicking a web browser, and it will load this page into str page as a string, and it'll print it out. That's all it does. So let's run it, and I'll show you. Okay, so there is that website, and I will pull up the page. So there's the test page itself in my web browser, and if I view source, there's the HTML that it returns, and you can see it's the same as this. Okay, so this is what I'll get back. This is what's in that string str page. So it's working. That's a good thing. But what I have here is code that creates a fake web browser. And I'm using the SSL library, Secure Sockets Layer. That's what provides browser security. And the URL library request object. Okay, so those are the two pieces that I'm using. This first 3 lines here is setting up what's called a security context. All you need to know is that it's in this modern era, a web server will not respond to a browser that does not follow security protocols. So I've got to set up those security protocols in my fake web browser. Otherwise, the server gets suspicious and it's like, I'm not giving you any pages. Servers are built to be suspicious because they have to be, because they're constantly under attack from people who want to go out there and steal anything from personal information to credit card numbers. So servers have to be suspicious, but getting basic information from servers, if you mimic a web browser, they find you harmless, because web browsers typically are harmless. Okay, so I'm setting up the security protocols. This is the URL. This is the web address. So if I change this to something else, it will go out to that website and get other information. For example, if I just go to my home page, which is www.bmosley.com, it's going to take a minute because it's a bigger page. There it is. Okay, so this is the HTML for my actual homepage. And it's actually not all of it, because it actually pulls in other files as well, but we don't need to worry about that. So if I leave that there, but as you go through and you spider, so you're going to do this, and then when you find something here, you're going to take those web page addresses and you put them back in here and run this again, and what it sends back will be the new page for that address. So this one, you can see, this is the address. It's used right here. You can see URL library request. That's the request to the server using the request object. And you can see here, user agent Chrome. You can see the start of something. I'm actually telling it, I am this exact version of the Chrome web browser. So it's not suspicious. And so I'm using that's the request object. And I am getting a page object by using URL open with that request and with that security context. That's the CTX that we created earlier. Next, I take that page and I read it, and then I decode it using UTF-8, which is the character encoding that I use for that page. And I put the result into a string. So I'm stacking the decode function on top of the page.read method, okay, which is a method of the page object. So it goes into a string, and then I just print that out. Instead of printing, what I could do here is basically steal some code from my email extraction, right? Because I'm looking for a pattern in the text. And then I could use that code to extract those and put them in a list and then follow that list to the next one. Okay, so that is the web spidering application. That is the more difficult of the two by quite a bit, I will say. In fact, if you're going to do both, if you're going to try the web spidering application, you might want to try challenge 2 first, get that done so you have the safety of the points, and then try your hand at the web spidering.